Welcome to A Marvelous Life. I'm Nashology, and today we are looking at the relatively unknown backstory of the very popular villain, Erik Killmonger. Played to perfection by Michael B. Jordan in the 2018 film Black Panther, Erik Killmonger was an American-born child to N'Jobu, the brother of King T'Chaka. Killmonger was a trained Black Ops soldier who proved to be a worthy adversary to Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa. In the film, Killmonger had one goal in mind: overthrow his cousin T'Challa for control of the throne. Why? Because he felt Wakanda betrayed its people. No, not the people within Wakanda, but the people and bloodlines that never got to enjoy Wakanda in the first place. Erik Killmonger believed that Wakanda's isolationist policy allowed for the pain and suffering of African bloodlines the world over. In other words, Wakanda didn't intervene when slavery was happening. So naturally, he fought to do things his way, but it didn't quite work out for him. So how does this movie version relate to its comic book counterpart? Well, in the comics, Erik Killmonger, or N'Jadaka as he's known, was actually born in Wakanda and also from royal blood. But after his parents were killed, he was given to a South African man named Ulysses Klaue. In other words, he was taken from paradise against his will and trained to be a killer. To make matters worse, Erik finds out that Ulysses Klaue was actually the one that killed his parents, setting him on his dark path, fueled by revenge. In the comics, Killmonger would be known as a revolutionary who actually managed to defeat the Black Panther and steal the throne of Wakanda, just like in the movie. However, as you can imagine, the Black Panther eventually came out on top. So where does this bring us today? Well, this video will look at the backstory of Erik Killmonger as he navigates New York City after graduating from MIT. All of the events leading up to his return to Wakanda. Why does he hate T'Challa? What is he doing in America? And who are all the targets of this revenge tale? These questions will be the focus of our story. That's enough for now. Let's begin our next journey into the story of Killmonger. The hot summer sun shines down on one of the top academic institutes in the world. Its bright rays symbolic for the bright future of MIT's newest graduate. A smile spreads across Miss Week's face as she explains to Erik the good news. He's the top of his class and everyone wants him. The world is his oyster. Unmoved by this revelation, Erik explains his disinterest. He doesn't care who wants him because he isn't working for anyone. Not yet. Dissatisfied with this response, Miss Weeks explains that his life can be easy. He just needs to pick the best job and his worries will be gone. But Erik knows he will never have an easy life. It was never meant to be, ever since he was born. Ever since his parents were killed, his childhood was ripped away from him. He never had a say. When he closes his eyes, he still sees the burning corpses of his parents, their dead eyes staring back at him. No, his life was not made to be easy, and there's only one path for him now. All roads lead to one destination. Sorry, Miss Weeks, I won't be a slave. Those employers can find someone else. There's only one place for me to go. There's only one person I need to find. Sweat beads form on Erik's neck as he calms himself for what comes next. He's waited years for this moment. There's only one man responsible for ruining his life. He killed his parents and stole him from Wakanda, and now he will steal his life. Standing at the rendezvous point, Ulysses Klaue awaits. Another day, another black market deal. Let me fill you in quick. When Erik was just a boy, Ulysses Klaue killed his parents and kidnapped him. When he was older, Erik found out the truth and escaped. His entire life has been devoted to finding Ulysses Klaue and killing him. Now, you might be wondering why Klaue looks the way he does. Well, using vibranium, he creates a suit that essentially converts his organic form into living sound energy. So he's kind of alive, but kind of immortal. But that doesn't matter to Erik. One way or another, he's gonna make him pay. As a truck pulls up to the meeting spot, Klaue prepares to make the deal. But Erik didn't come all this way for nothing. He came to complete his mission. With his finger on the trigger, it's time to end Klaue once and for all. The bullet narrowly misses Klaue's head as the sniper rifle's kicked out of Erik's hands. As blood drips from Erik's chin, the woman tells him he came to the wrong deal. This exchange is important to her employer. Ignoring the assailant, Erik screams from the rooftop as Klaue escapes into the night. After years of hunting his prey, his chance has slipped away. This woman will pay. But not tonight, as she takes out her pistol and holds it above her head. Tonight, he has answers to give. With his vision slowly returning, the light of the room smacks Erik in the face as his brain processes the signals received by his eyes. A gray-haired man approaches and tells Erik that he's lucky he's not dead, but he has to answer for what he's done. This was an important gig to the boss, and now you need to talk. Sitting at the desk is none other than Wilson Fisk, the man known as the Kingpin. The Kingpin is one of the most dangerous and feared criminals in the entire Marvel universe. Normally throwing in with the likes of Spider-Man and Daredevil, Wilson Fisk is enough to put the fear into any superhero. He's not to be taken lightly. It's no wonder why he's considered one of the greatest comic book supervillains of all time. The Kingpin explains that Ulysses Klaue was clearly the target for tonight, but he cannot be touched. He's a valuable asset to his operation. You, on the other hand, are nobody. Why should I let you live for all your indiscretion? With a look of disgust, Erik tells Wilson Fisk to do his thing. He doesn't want to look at his fat face 1 second longer. Realizing the man is a lost cause, Fisk tells his crew to dispose of him. New York doesn't need another cowboy running amok. With one final breath, Erik screams to be let go. As a dark bag quickly engulfs his world, it's not long before the black takes over. Tossed from the car, Erik lands on the cold pavement of the New York harbor. Watching a knife helpfully tossed into the street, Erik crawls forward and frees his restraints. In confusion, Erik watches as the car speeds off. For some reason, they wanted him alive. They must not be finished with him yet. Back in his hotel room, Erik ponders his situation. Klaue has gone into hiding, and now the Kingpin wants him dead. There must be something he can do. He just needs to think. Something isn't right. There's no way Kingpin... As Erik catches his breath from the recent attack, he falls to the floor, the still body of the victim leaking a puddle of crimson. But he's not alone. Looking up, Erik sees the gray-haired man standing above him. He reveals his name as King, the leader of the Kingpin's mercenary crew. King tells him that he passed the test. There was a reason he wasn't killed tonight. It doesn't take a genius to see the truth. Erik is a killer, and a killer is exactly what they need. And you, Erik, you need to get close to Fisk, because without Fisk, you'll never find Klaue again. Thus, you need us, and we need you. Sounds like a match made in heaven. We need you for a job. You do this for us, and you'll find Klaue again. If you don't, the Kingpin will make sure he sends someone more lethal next time. Picking up his handgun, Erik points it at King. It's about time he learns that he's nobody's slave. But his thoughts are quickly dashed as King telekinetically rips the gun from Erik's hand and lifts him into the air with complete control. Sorry, kid, but you're too good to pass up. You'll thank me in the morning. As he lays in the garbage pile below, Erik looks up to see a pistol barrel in his face. He's met by the second crew member, Knight. Congratulations, new guy. Looks like you're part of the team. Standing along the shoreline, Erik looks out for an answer. Why hasn't Wakanda ever searched for him? Did they not care? Was he not loved? All he wanted was to fit in, a place to call home. But they never came looking. His gods have left him to die in this sickened, disgusting world. But his thoughts are interrupted by Knight. There's something about her. The way she moves, the way she talks. There's a piece of her she's trying to keep hidden. Knight reminds him that there's a big score coming. They need to stay alert and they need to be a team. If he wants Klaue, then he needs to play well with the crew. It's the only way they can go home. Looking down, Erik softly mutters, "I have no home." Approaching his master, N'Jadaka asks why he was summoned. Did he do something wrong? With a stern look overtaking his face, Ulysses Klaue lectures the boy. You need to forget about Wakanda. It's not your home. It is dead to you. I freed you from that cesspit. I will teach you how to hunt and kill. I will teach you how to survive. Cast away Wakanda and cast away N'Jadaka. From this moment, I shall name you Erik. The soft glow of the luminescent street signs bathes the sidewalk below. With their big mission only days away, King has something important to say. You have a lot of rage, kid, but misdirected, uncontrolled rage will get you killed. You need focus. If you can learn to control that rage, you'll be a force to be reckoned with. Don't let your hate control you. Let it guide you, and only then will you get what you want. Adrenaline continues to course through Erik's veins as the recent bloodbath fills his mind. Trying to distract his mind, King tells Erik about his dream. A secluded house, farmland, and not a city for miles. This life is just a means to an end. You need your own dream, Erik. Revenge isn't meant to last forever. You have an entire life in front of you, one full of promise. Don't let your rage dictate that future. You're a good kid, misguided, but good. Inside the hideout, Erik checks in on Knight. She proved herself to be a valuable ally today. He knew there was something about her, but Knight isn't the one that's suffering. One of their crewmen, Rook, sustained serious injuries. Resting on the couch, Rook tries to regain his strength. Luckily for him, Rook is a mutant with an exceptional healing factor. He'll be up and ready before you know it. Unfortunately for the bad guys, the only way to kill Rook is by chopping off his head. But for now, there's only one thing left to do. We need to tell Fisk the job is done. Good job, Erik. Keep pulling jobs like this and you'll get your revenge after all. It's been 24 hours since the big score. The crew await patiently as King returns from his meeting with Wilson Fisk. The sweat dripping from his brow is all too telling. Wasting no time, King tells the crew it's over. As expected, the Kingpin doesn't want loose ends. And after the big score, we're the loosest end there is. As King quickly hurries off, he tells the crew to get lost. There's nothing here for them now. It's only a matter of time before the Kingpin's #1 contractor comes knocking. But the knocking has already begun. As Erik wipes Rook's blood from his eyes, his vision centers on the culprit. Bullseye. The loud snap of the unloading pistols resonate throughout the parking complex. The night has just gone from bad to worse. The deadly Bullseye dodges the bullets with ease and tosses back his own present, only for it to be caught in the air by King's mutant powers. As King deflects the weapon, Erik returns fire, his incredible rage taking over. But Erik's rage didn't pack enough bullets. And with blinding fast speed, Bullseye closes in. The young Erik stands no shot against this legend. With a knife in his hand, Bullseye approaches the downed Erik. It's time to add another to the kill count. But his second kill is turned aside as Knight tosses a car door directly at the assassin, only for it to be effortlessly dodged. Whoever this man is, he's incredibly deadly. Realizing every second they linger is another second towards death, King shouts at the trio to run, and with only one spot to go, they clench their jaws in terror as they leap from the top story of the parking complex. Instead of meeting a bloody fate on the pavement below, King uses his telekinetic powers to safely shuttle the trio to the street. Bullseye watches in enjoyment as Kingpin's former kill crew scurries off like rodents. Mission complete. They won't be coming back to New York anytime soon. As their hideout is reduced to ashes, King tells the crew it's time to leave. Not just New York, but America. They should have known the Kingpin would have pulled such a sleazy move. Looking to Erik with sorrow, King tells him he's sorry. He saw a lot of good in him and just wanted to help, but his quest for revenge will only get him killed. He needs to leave Klaue behind. He needs to carry on with his life. As King disappears into the night, Erik watches on in silence, his anger beginning to boil over. He can't stop his quest for revenge. He can never stop. Realizing that the Kingpin might be tracking them, Knight tells Erik they need to move. She has a safe house nearby. If they're going to live through this nightmare, they need to have each other's back. And they need to keep each other awake and alert. The next morning, Erik tells Knight the truth. He was once a Wakandan national of royal blood who was stolen from his homeland. Stolen by Ulysses Klaue. He stole him from paradise, and now he's going to pay. No matter what happens in this lifetime, it'll all end the same, with the death of Klaue. I'm going to kill him, and then I'm coming for Wakanda. I won't rest until the throne is beneath my feet. I will have the paradise that was taken from me. Come with me. With a smile on her face, Knight tells him this plan will require passports. When she returns, they can plan their trip to Wakanda.
Freeze! Don't move!
Seated at an interrogation table, Knight speaks to a face deep in the shadows. But one clear look shows the lack of restraint. She is not a prisoner at all. A woman's voice echoes throughout the small room. Your part of the deal isn't done. We're one step closer to Wilson Fisk, but we still need one more thing. If you truly want out of this life, you'll need to give us him. Approaching, the Black Widow speaks cold and true. If you want S.H.I.E.L.D's help, you'll need to give up King. Waking up from his slumber, Erik scans the room. He has no idea where he is. Weren't there soldiers? Yes, they were with me. Look, don't get mad, but I contacted S.H.I.E.L.D. Trust me, it was the only play. You may not think so, but S.H.I.E.L.D. just saved our lives. You and I were as good as dead, Erik. Bullseye doesn't fail, and we were in his crosshairs. It was contact S.H.I.E.L.D. or be killed. But this lifeline isn't free. S.H.I.E.L.D. wants King. He was the closest man to Wilson Fisk. Meet me outside and I'll explain everything. Heading outside, Erik sees nothing but a vast ocean of blue, as far as the eye can see. Wherever they're going, it's not in America. Knight looks down in despair. She tells Erik that King has been like a father to her. He's the last person she wants to betray, but she needs to think about her future. She has no other choice. Do this job with me, Erik, and I promise I will come to Wakanda with you. I will help you secure your future. With his hand on her cheek, Erik comforts Knight. No, we will not betray King. We will warn him, and if S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to go to war with us, then they can. For we will have the might of the entire Wakandan army behind us. Come, my queen, let's secure our future. The bitter snap of winter leaves its cold embrace on the Bulgarian wilderness. Erik reminds Knight why they're here. They need to warn King. It's the least they can do for their former partner. Pulling up to the house, Erik and Knight see King standing in attendance, an axe in his hand. Cutting right to the chase, Erik tells King there's a problem. They need to speak immediately. Sensing his urgency, King beckons them to follow as he trudges through the snow back to his homestead. Upon hearing the news, King coldly informs of his decision. He won't surrender to S.H.I.E.L.D., and he won't play their little game. Erik tells him he only has two choices: help S.H.I.E.L.D. take down Wilson Fisk, or come with him to Wakanda. Help me take the throne, and I'll keep you safe. Defiant as ever, King reaffirms his position. He promised his wife that his old life will never come back to haunt her, and he means to keep his promise. Realizing the futility of the situation, King storms off to gather his composure. Turning to Knight, Erik says he will talk some sense into him. This isn't over yet. Directing his anger at the tree, King continues to hack, as if each swing will bring about the end of his problems. Speaking truthfully, King explains his unrest. S.H.I.E.L.D. will use him and throw him away. That's what they do. Knight took all the choice away from him. He will now have to break his promise to his wife. If S.H.I.E.L.D. brings a war to his doorstep, then a war is what they'll get. Listen, Erik, I can't come to Wakanda, but I'll find a way out of this. I always do. There's nothing more important to me than my wife. I'll do what I can to keep her safe, from both S.H.I.E.L.D. and whoever else. The color drains from King's face as his nightmare becomes a reality. With a gun pressed to his love's throat, Knight's facade cracks apart, her true intentions shining through. She shouts to the men, hired contractors will be here in 30 seconds. They're working with S.H.I.E.L.D. The gig is up. It's time for everyone to pay for their sins. This was only ever going to end one way. Knight tells the duo that she's done playing games, she's taking back her life, and that life has no room for Wakandan fairy tales or S.H.I.E.L.D's hit list. With his face swelling up in anger, King knows there's no way back from this. Knight will die for this. As the truck screeches to a snowy halt, the armed contractors exit the vehicle. War is on the horizon. Sensing the impending bloodbath, King's wife sprints toward her husband, who brandishes his axe and trudges through the snow. But the contractors quickly fire back at the exposed King. Throughout the snow-covered valley, stray bullets dance about her feet as Erik rushes to protect King's wife. As the bullets stop, Erik tells King's wife to stay down until the madness ends. It isn't safe out here. But unfortunately, the words fall on deaf ears. The blood flows unrestricted from her multiple bullet wounds. But she isn't the only victim of the ambush, as King himself is brought to the cold, wet snow. The remaining contractors converge on the helpless man. With the contractors dead, only one enemy remains. The sound of her approaching causes the rage within Erik to boil over. It's time to end her existence. With a gun to his head, Knight tells Erik to find Wakanda. There's nothing for him here anymore. Leave now and always remember, your queen had mercy. Crawling over to King, Erik looks down on the only friend he's ever had. The only person who gave a damn. Handing him a key to his cellar, King tells him to ignore all the advice he's ever given him. He was wrong. Use your rage. Use your hate. Get your revenge for the both of us. And with his last breath exhausted, King departs on his next journey to find his wife in the afterlife. Stumbling into the house, Erik struggles to remain standing, his energy waning by the second. Finding the cellar door, Erik unlocks it and proceeds downstairs. He uses the wall to support his unsteady movements. Reaching his destination, Erik comes face to face with his destiny, surrounded by the tools of his revenge. For now, Ulysses Klaue can wait. He has bigger fish to fry. This is a big story, so let's talk about what's happened so far. After a failed assassination attempt on Ulysses Klaue, Erik Killmonger was captured and put to the test by King, the leader of a hitman crew who was working for Wilson Fisk. Upon succeeding, Erik was absorbed into the crew and put to work. However, after completing a huge assassination job, the crew's contract had been terminated, which pretty much meant they were fucked. To make matters worse, Erik and King were sold out to S.H.I.E.L.D. by Knight. Refusing to surrender, this resulted in the death of King and his wife. Now, we end our story with Erik Killmonger on the hunt once again, this time with a certain woman in his crosshairs. Let's see how this one ends. As her busy work week comes to an end, Patricia prepares for a relaxing night in. But after a year of relative stillness, Patricia is about to find out an unfortunate truth. You can't run from the past. Pulling out her own pistol, Patricia prepares to have her new life taken from her, as a familiar face waits unexpectedly in the shadows. With nearly 50 pounds of muscle added to his frame, the imposing Erik presents a frightening image. Although, he is no longer Erik, he's just Killmonger. Revealing the purpose of his visit, Killmonger tells Knight that he's taking the Black Panther down. Wakanda will be his, but he needs S.H.I.E.L.D's help. They have the files on T'Challa, and you're going to help me get them. I have your sister. Call for help, and her life is over. Scurry back to the Black Widow, her life is over. Now, my queen, it's time to play a game. Get me S.H.I.E.L.D's files on Wakanda by tomorrow night. Do this, or I kill everybody. You could have ruled a nation, but instead, you opted to be a slave. Now, be a slave and do as you're told. And with a final look of resentment, Killmonger leaves as quiet as he came, as Night feels the weight of the world bearing down on her. As the darkness of the night fills the London skyline, Night makes her way to the local S.H.I.E.L.D. offices. Sitting at the terminal, she knows many lives are at stake. Killmonger seems different, unhinged. There's no telling what that animal will do. Ensuring she's alone, Night begins copying the S.H.I.E.L.D. files onto a hard drive. Her sister's life is at stake, her only family left. She needs to do this right. And with the green light signaling a successful transfer, Night heads over to the drop-off. Feeling her anxiety set in, Night prepares for the confrontation. She can't afford to lose her new lease on life. She can't afford to lose what remains of her family. Wasting no time, Night tosses the files to Killmonger. She did what she was asked, and now it's time to move on. But Killmonger has other plans. He doesn't need the S.H.I.E.L.D. files after all. He never needed them. The hard drive I gave you wasn't for downloading files. It was for uploading them. Congratulations, Night. You're now a wanted fugitive. Do me a favor. When you get to hell, give my regards to King. Looks like S.H.I.E.L.D. is right on time. Smoke begins filling the church as the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents rappel from the ceiling. Little do they know it's about to be their last day on the job. Lying in a puddle of her own blood, Killmonger mockingly tells her not to worry. He never took her sister after all. She was dead the moment he saw her. And now, you can be with your family. For I have another war to wage. Goodbye, Night. Leaving the crime scene, Killmonger confidently walks out the front door, only to be greeted by a backup S.H.I.E.L.D. force, fronted by the Black Widow herself. Once down the steps, Killmonger quickly falls to his knees. This was all part of the plan. As the smoke clears from the charred ruins, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents struggle to their feet. Killmonger is no longer in sight. With her ears still ringing from the blast, Natasha Romanoff calls for an emergency medevac. Multiple S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are down and the suspect is on the move. Turning to her comrade, Natasha coldly states, "Whoever that bastard is, better run far, far away." Despite its nature as the most technologically advanced nation on Earth, the beauty of Wakanda is as striking as the danger it poses. But looking outwards towards the city below, Killmonger sees not a threat to be feared. For Wakanda isn't the only threat to be taken seriously.
And now you're all caught up in the life of Erik Killmonger. As I mentioned before, this story only covers Erik Killmonger's formative years, as his new persona is solidified after the death of Night. With his life a constant struggle to find himself, it's no wonder Erik Killmonger would become the lost soul that would eventually bring Wakanda to its knees. I hope you enjoyed the story, and feel free to subscribe for more cinematic endeavors into the world of Marvel Comics. I'm Nashology, thanks for watching.